Okay, call Executive Committee back to order, and we will start off with the CAO's office.
Through you, Mr. Warden, I'm not going to spend a lot of time with the indulgence and looking at the rest of the agenda on the key performance indicators, but I will confirm that for the end of 2006, the 4 key performance indicators are all going to be achieved. In terms of the 3 major initiatives, December 31st, New Year's Eve, was the launch of the 150th program for the 2017 year. We had 250 people who had purchased tickets. I think the actual in attendance was around 240, which is pretty impressive given the weather on both the 30th and the 31st. The balance of the program will now start to really ramp up and roll out, and it's unfortunate that both past Warden Oswald and Anne-Marie were unable to attend this morning so that they could enjoy the celebration from what occurred on New Year's Eve. It was I was only able to stay for a couple of hours, but it was quite fun. The second initiative for the CAO's office was the organizational review of HR and finance policies and procedures. That is well in hand. Again, the first policies that were worked on were the alternate work location, adverse weather, and the travel mileage claim policy. The second piece is in terms of the procurement policy. We've had a few little hurdles with that particular document, but I'm pretty confident that you'll be having it presented to you for your consideration in draft form in February, given the work that's been in hand, I should say. The next piece for the 2017 year will be, there is in the budget that for the 2017 year, a summer student in the HR group who will start to really focus on what I call sort of like the housekeeping side of policies to tidy up some of the language that we need to get tidied up. And then the third was in terms of the advanced education and operational stability. Again, at the risk of sounding like you're hearing the same message over and over again, in 2016, we achieved our number in terms of having cohort 3 and 4 both graduate in December. And we also invested in 2 members of the leadership team at the county in terms of the programs with Schulich, York University in particular. And in 2017, we have another member of the senior management group participating in that same program. So with that, I can answer any questions if you wish.
Thank you, Kelly. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, we will move on. Corporate services.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. I am certainly pleased to present our end-of-year results for our business plan, and certainly pleased with the progress that we had during 2016. Every year comes with its successes and its challenges, and we had a number of both during 2016. We had some staffing changes with the retirement of Gary Gray, our purchasing manager, so transitioned through that change, and we're changes within our IT, not only with some staffing, but also with the physical locations as we've been renovating, and certainly seeing that all come together in Q4 2016, and eager to get started with 2017. Just to comment on the following up with the CAO's comments. Certainly 2016 was a year of reviewing our services and trying to avoid the duplication of services as a service department, and how we can assist the external departments in what they deliver and helping cut the red tape. With respect to our key performance indicators, again, we have met our goals, and some of them are goals, and others are just really a benchmark of the work that we do, and to be able to manage what we do. But certainly the budget, being able to present it to council and have a final approval in December, it was as projected, and certainly what we want to see to be able to allow us to better manage the budget throughout the year and get started early, and you'll see that again continuing in 2017. The one area, certainly proud of having 6 staff complete the Loyalist program and be part of that graduation, and now being able to see them complement the other 4 that had, the other 6 that had completed, so now 12 in total within our department, and to really be able to take what we've learned and push it forward. And the importance of having not only the senior leadership or the senior managers to have it, but also to have some of our key staff having that they understand the talk and understand why some decisions or what we do has certainly been helpful. You can see that the service desk continued to be busy with support tickets, and that's an area where we've really want to improve, and certainly seen that in the last several months as to be how we support the other departments, and we can do so better if we have the support of theirs with the service desk tickets, and certainly incoming and outgoing messages. I did pass around a document that we just completed, because when this document was prepared, it was up to December 15th, the information regarding the website visits. And while this just says in total what our site visits were, and you can see from what the hard copy that I circulated, when we updated for the full year, we were just over the 3.1, and we had projected that we might see some growth in 2016 over 2015, and that certainly was evident, and we achieved our projections, and actually considerably higher than in 2015. There are 2 oddities in this, and certainly we'll be following up with that, in particularly with the Planning and Development Department, and we look at the Adventure Passport, and we think that this information is helpful for them to know why and what are people finding that information in other areas, but certainly the drop is significant on the Adventure Passport, but we know that it was a very successful program. It's just maybe how the messaging got out, but when you take a look down, about 2/3 down, you can see on our Explore the Bruce, there was a significant increase over 2015 to 2016. Another really interesting stat for me when I was reviewing it was the French site, and I'm not even going to pretend to say it with my French accent, but La Peninsula Bruce went from 7,000 to 26,000 hits. So that tells us that even though it's not a particularly robust site, but it definitely is drawing the attention of that particular area. So those were just a couple of areas. You can see the military site. It was redirected to the Bruce Remembers, and we certainly overall achieved where we were. And the museum photo site, it was just important to recognize that at the Q4 in 2016, that photo site has been eliminated. It's now an external supported through, it's called Past Perfect, and IT doesn't have the stats on that, but certainly the museum through their external partner will have that, and I'm pretty certain it's a very popular site and will continue to be used. So just wanted to provide that additional support to what I had presented. Specifically, overall, the goals that we had to achieve, again, as I said, very, very pleased with the results. The asset management plan, certainly a key part of the revision of the capital forecast template, and get to a point with multi-year operating budgets, and we are still moving forward with that. The finance team has developed a capital template. It's currently in draft form, but it's been designed to follow very much the look and feel of our consolidated operational template, and I think that will be very helpful for senior management and managers and council as we roll that out in the coming months. And certainly looking at other software to be able to assist us with accommodating the current program and operating multi-year operating budgets. The procurement, our CIO referred to looking forward to receiving that report likely in February, and they have done a phenomenal amount of work, and the finance team is just positioning ourselves, particularly accounts payable, doing some simple changes and looking at our workflows and our procedures, again in an effort to duplicate the services and to cut our red tape. And I say that certainly not with, while we want to cut our red tape, we want to continue to make sure that we are accountable and that we're transparent and that we're delivering certainly both of those aspects appropriately. And so we will look forward to the results of the cross-functional team and implementing the new purchase order or the new procurement and looking at commitment accounting and purchase order system. The one item that we had included on here was to develop a risk management strategy and employ risk management methodology across the county administration, and that was more of a corporate initiative, but it was certainly looking at how we could realign and how we could better deliver. And as you know, we made decisions back a couple of months ago, and was recognized today as the Legislative Services Division is moved into the CAO's department, and the promotion of Donna Van Wyck and Darlene Batty to clerk and deputy clerk. And as we realign and prepare for the fully functional workstations in the atrium by January 30th is our target date for that, and certainly looking forward to that. The results of the BMA Management Consulting Study are included in today's agenda, corporate services agenda, for information purposes, and we certainly are encouraging other upper tier municipalities to continue to participate, and that will certainly allow us to better have the results that comparable results. And the cost of that study was $1,100 and is included again in 2017. The electronic records management, a cross-functional team of the pilot users for the SharePoint technology has been established, and they're reviewing those results. We had a bit of a stall over the vacation period at Christmas, and they are poised to begin again and then to start finalizing the next steps to roll out that collaborative tool. And information technology, the strategic plan, we want to move forward with that. So as a result of some competing demands and resources, the full development of that was delayed in 2016, and our intent in 2017 is to build on the work that we did, but to expand that scope to develop a corporate services strategic plan. So again, combining information technology services and finance division. The unified communications is certainly a project that's had a lot of attention in 2016 and will carry over into 2017 as we design and implement a communication strategy for improved communications. And finally, an unplanned project, but certainly it was very valuable and worthwhile, was the Park Street Administration Center renovations. And as we began those renovations, they've really fallen into place, and we've added, as we've gone along, and used part of those funds to provide our new brand as well. So as we moved forward with renovations, we were very wanted to make sure that we were introducing the new brand, and as a result, the sign over the council chambers and the carpet, and moving our crest into the council chambers. And while the 2016 budget included a $100,000 expenditure, not included in this update, but you will recall that council, when I brought forward an update of what we had did and what we still needed to do. And of course, as we move into the second floor now, there was an additional $50,000 that was approved to continue with those renovations. And in the coming months, you will see that happen, and we'll bring forward any further recommendations as we finalize the needed renovations on the second floor.
Thank you, Betty Ann. Questions, comments? Milt?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Betty Ann, on that number 3, develop our risk management strategy and employ risk management methodology across the county administration. Could you explain? And that's a half position, new positions at the half the costs?
If I could, and then I may ask our CAO to add to that from the corporate side. We had included, there was a position that had been declared vacant, and we wanted to be able to maintain that, and we really, at the beginning, I guess late in 2015, we were unsure of what the path forward was going to look like. And one of the areas that we wanted to consider was risk management strategy. And it was thought that maybe that new position would take on a role if there was no other area within the corporation that could do that. As 2016 went on, and we brought back a report to committee that suggested that we needed to define that position, and we believed that it was more valuable to accommodate the reorganization of the Legislative Services Division, to give our CAO and Warden and Council the support that they needed with the administrative support, and to not fill the risk management position. It really was undefined to begin with, but that was a bit of a placeholder as we may have moved forward. I think corporately, at this point, then maybe that's where I will turn it over to our CAO as far as what next steps and I think need to take place and how we're going to move forward with that.
Through you, Mr. Warden, at this point, we're in a holding position and not anticipating coming back to County Council to request any additional resources. We want to stabilize, both as Director Cobain has articulated, the atrium and also the legislative group, and then determine where do we go from here.
Other questions or comments? Good, thank you. Who do we have next? Paramedic? No, I guess HR. Good morning.
Good morning and Happy New Year. And I'm here to talk about the results for Q4 for the Human Resources Group. So pretty much we're on target as far as our projections versus our KPIs. It is notable that we had one additional WSIB claim that's not reported here that happened on the last weekend of the year. So there was no lost time with that, but there was a medical claim that's not reflected in these numbers. So that will have to get updated. So as far as our major initiatives going, Loyalist Leadership, we had 3 people participating last year. One graduated, one will graduate in the cohort 5, and the third one is off on maternity and parental leave, so we're hoping to be able to have her as part of the graduation class at a cohort 5, but we'll have to see how that gets arranged. You know, some things aren't always planned. Corporate succession plan, we have moved over as a priority in 2017. The performance appraisal system, we did have a software solution for that, and then we ended up changing it as part of our pay equity job evaluation system. And so we may come back and look at other options. We were waiting to see if Avante was going to do some workflows that would help with that, but unfortunately those workflows didn't happen either. So that's still on our radar. Corporate training and professional development, we did have a new employee rollout completed, and we have now developed a training matrix that we're going to be building into HR downloads so we can have some corporate training available, primarily focused on health and safety, but there are also some leadership qualities in there as well as some AODA training as well. We have also invested, and it wasn't initially on our business plan, in leadership training through Harvard Manager Mentor that we're going to continue on in 2017. The 5-year strat plan for HR is done, and so now we're just putting it into our corporate design that we'll later bring back to council. And the realignment of management and paramedic services in LTC is now complete. And legislative compliance is ongoing. We did kick off the project in the fall, and we're tracking well with that. We should have our first rough results in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Legislative compliance, we did complete our mock workwell audit, so that was successful. We're now implementing the recommendations that came as a result of that. We have launched ergonomic and hearing programs in Q4, and we are deferring the LATO until 2017. We did have an initial kickoff of it, and so there's a staff report coming forward in the HR committee to address that. There were also a number of other initiatives that we undertook that were not originally on the business plan. And so that includes things like the payroll review and our physical move and relocation that wasn't originally there. Also a mental health wellness policy. We also introduced behavioral testing and online reference checks. And we've also seen a lot of change in our payroll optimization project. So to give you an example, we just finished doing year-end accruals that typically would have taken a person 2 to 3 weeks to complete, and it was done in less than 2 hours this year through an automation process. So there's some really good things happening, and really kudos to the team that are really behind this in the HR group that are really helping support these initiatives going forward.
Excellent. Comments, questions? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. You want to go up one? There you go, sir.
Okay, thank you. So for ours, Q4 updates, total EMS responses per 1,000 population is around 100. These were done as of about December 13th, so we need the timeline to get some of the data from the ministry and all of that to actually get final values for 2016. Will still be another week or two. But we're still expecting to be in that range, may get to the 103 range that's actually projected. Length of time for ambulance dispatch is within target, 1 minute, 33 seconds. Just to go along with that is that the ministry mandates that they have it done in less than 2 minutes, so they're definitely meeting their timelines as well. So for the 90th percentile, of the length of time for a crew notification to arrival at scene for highest priority calls, so those are our lights and sirens calls, is 20 minutes, 28 seconds, so that's all of them. On average, though, if we were to look at the average response time for those calls, we're probably closer to about 11 minutes, but in 90% of the times, we're going to be there in 20 minutes, so. Cost to provide 1 hour of ambulance service was on target at $181 per hour. For meeting our CTAS response time criteria, we're 4 out of 6 criteria. The ones that we don't necessarily always, and they're the hardest ones to meet, is those higher priority calls, the sudden cardiac arrests, and the very serious lights and sirens sort of calls. And annual compliance with EMO requirements for the emergency management program. This was basically coordinated mostly this year through David Smith as the CEMC, and we did meet our criteria. It's been submitted to the Office of the Fire Marshal and Emergency Management to be officially all signed off with them. So, as far as our other updates, initiatives, merging of the paramedic services and long-term care, discussions have restarted into this recommendation, as you're aware. And from the operational review, paramedic service analysis between Grey and Bruce counties, that was completed as well. And working on the 2 outcomes about fleet maintenance and training initiatives will continue into 2017. Reviewing the paramedic service deployment plan. We will be looking at this as well again. We've started looking at quite a few of the things, trying to look at time of day as well, but until we have all of 2016 data from the ministry and things, we're still, it's ongoing. And we'll be able to hopefully bring a report back in early February on those. Paramedic service strategic plan on hold pending both 1 and 2 basically. We're deferred to 2017. Once we know exactly our outcomes, where we're going, we'll be able to work on a long-term plan. Review of all emergency management plans. Most of this was deferred again with David Smith being the acting CMC for this year. A lot of the emergency plans we didn't get a big review. 2017 ambulance service review. We have started doing some work into that. We do have unofficially the dates is the 2nd week of April. That's still to be confirmed as when our, in 2017 will be our ambulance service review. So we'll be starting gearing up a lot more of that in the first couple of months of 2017. And the replacement of the ambulances, that's been reported on in the past. That was probably done in Q2, but yeah, they were purchased and complete. So.
Questions, comments? I honestly thought the replacement of 2 ambulances was going to be more than that. Usually they're around 200, weren't they not?
No, usually we're in closer to the 150
Okay.
range or so, yeah. We have a little bit more planned for next year's because we're looking at doing an emergency response unit as well. So there's 2 ambulances in that, so that's maybe the number you're looking at.
Okay. Any other comments? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to just start off by saying that in both long-term care homes, Bruce Lee Haven and Gateway Haven, in 2016 we had, excuse me, we were addressing 3 strategic priorities, and for the most part we feel we've really achieved them, and we're very happy to celebrate that as we enter into 2017. Specifically for Bruce Lee Haven, when it comes to our this update and the Q4 at the end of the year, I just want to mention that the statistics and the data in this report goes to the end of November. So it doesn't contain all of the data for 2016 because this report was submitted at that time. However, there's clear indication as I review the reports at the beginning of 2017 that in regard to the key performance indicators, the first 5, we have well reached them, and we're very, very pleased to report that for Bruce Lee Haven and Gateway Haven. As you know, both homes also have to report publicly on the quality indicators as established and published by CIHI and Health Quality Ontario. And at Bruce Lee Haven, of the 11 quality indicators set down for us in 2016, comparing to the provincial average, which really only has the data for Q2 from the ministry, in comparison, Bruce Lee Haven is reaching and has attained, have met or is attainable by the end, by the end of the year, will have attained 3 out of the 11 reported quality indicators from the province. Moving on to the major initiatives for Bruce Lee Haven. The first major initiative in aligning both long-term care homes and policies, management style, and operational procedures. Again, I think this has been a real success for both homes. And in this quarter, both Gateway Haven and Bruce Lee Haven have selected common policy and procedure manuals that, with the approval of committee, have been purchased from Sienna Senior Living. And these policies and procedures meet the Ministry of Health Long-Term Care Act requirements, and but both homes in 2016 have been well aligned, and we look forward to even more of that in 2017. Bruce Lee Haven, in regard to our major initiative, our second major initiative, paramedic services in both long-term care homes, commence its research into the opportunities and efficiencies that could result by combining resources and services. Bruce Lee Haven and Gateway Haven has not realized any activity on this initiative in the last quarter. Our third major initiative, enhancing public relations in the community. This will be an ongoing focus for Bruce Lee Haven administration, in that it's only in this last quarter that we have been able to hire an administrator who would be giving some leadership in the area of enhancing the public relations. But we will certainly see improvement as we go forward for Bruce Lee Haven.
Okay. Questions, comments? Hearing none.
Okay, Gateway Haven then. Ditto comments almost for Gateway Haven. And just to remind the committee and council that in 2017 we will have a combined business plan for the long-term care homes. So this will be the last time that we'll be reporting separately on the homes. Gateway Haven is in fine form and fashion at the end of 2016 in regard to meeting their key performance indicators. And when it comes to the Ministry of Health, the publicly reported indicators that we have to report on, Gateway Haven have met or will attain meeting those requirements and those indicators 6 out of the 11. So Gateway has had an extremely good year in meeting some of those benchmarks that have been set down by the province, for sure. As with Bruce Lee Haven, Gateway Haven have selected policies and are aligning themselves with their sister home, Bruce Lee Haven. And with the EMS and both long-term care homes commencing and joining its opportunities for efficiencies, in this quarter, Gateway Haven has not realized any activity as well. Our third major initiative at Gateway Haven, enhancing public relations in the community through education of services offered at Gateway Haven Long-Term Care. Gateway Haven reported that they did hold an education on informational social event on site, but it wasn't well attended in 2016. It didn't meet the success that it had in past years. And they're planning in 2017 to go and hold this at another venue, probably through a job fair or whatever the case may be, in 2017. One of the major initiatives at Gateway Haven is the replacement of the communication system, replacing the existing nurse call bell and telephone systems, including a resident wander guard system. And in the last quarter of 2016, stage 1 of this initiative involved recabling, which is now completed, and an RFP for tendering this project is in progress with a hopeful completion in early 2017, with a project completion in the late fall of this year. The next initiative is commence plans to develop the back property at Gateway Haven. This project has been suspended indefinitely as it has been deemed an expansion in scope of the service model. Our sixth initiative, the flooring replacement has been completed, and it came in under budget, so we're very pleased about that. Our eighth major initiative involved the building automated system for Gateway, and that's moving forward with implementation of systems in 2017. Plan is for installation of a new chiller in March 17, other updates to follow, and that's it, Mr. Chair.
Questions, comments? Ann?
Excuse me.
Sorry, I just had one. About that back property, you said it had been deemed an expansion in scope of the service model. Just what do you mean by that? Sorry.
The actual
The mandate?
yeah, the mandate for for Gateway Haven right now is certainly enhancing and the development and the of the facility itself, and to go into the major project of developing the property when the facility itself needs such major attention, it was felt that project needs to be put on hold, or if not suspended, as it was in the plans.
Okay, thanks.
Other comments? Okay, thank you, Charles.
And I thank you.
Social services. Morning.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Pleased to present the Social Services and Housing Q4 results for you. Just start off with a reminder, and you'll see the explanation at the bottom of the key performance indicator chart that many of our indicators, we do use projections in order to bring those results to you before they're actually available. And also to identify that the one new KPI that we added this year was the one with regards to our Ontario Works screening to financial eligibility decision. And that was added because staff really saw that as a meaningful way to assess whether we were moving beyond SAMs. And so I'm really happy to report that the target was reached in the second quarter, and then we've much surpassed it by Q4. So the number of days to eligibility is now 5. So we've reduced through service efficiencies 2.5 days in that process. So that's really important results for residents in our community. And you'll note overall that 7 of our 10 KPIs have been reached or surpassed. And the 3 that weren't were just, within target. So we were pretty close on those as well. And with those in particular, so the percentage of available childcare spaces that are subsidized and the wait list where we didn't quite make the target, those have a number of external factors, economic factors that influence that result. And so we continue to monitor and work with our community partners through our long-term plans on those. With the capital priorities, we were just shy of the on time, but I will remind everyone that we added over 5 additional projects with those additional infrastructure dollars from the province, SHEEP and SHIP programs. And there will be a small amount of carryover with capital, with delays that arise out of the variables with those projects. And so moving on to the initiatives. With regard to the service delivery hub, staff continue to look for opportunities to implement hubs across other major centers in Bruce County after the successful launch of the Peninsula Hub. And with regard to the implementation of the 10-year long-term housing strategy, work is now moving forward with the 8-unit new development project in Kincardine. And also staff are administering those additional dollars for the home repair program, which continues to be in high demand. So there's really good uptake on those additional infrastructure dollars that we had. And again, new in Q4 was that we've continued to enhance our employment supports. So staff have written and completed workshops with regard to mental health, addictions, success in employment, and also reaching goals through life coaching. So these individual workshops have been well received, and we are noting positive impacts on participants' well-being that have been involved in them. So for some of the people that we're serving, of course, it's baby steps along the way. So we're helping them with their readiness to employment and eventually moving into employment. And the other item that there was a lot of activity in Q4 is our transformation of the family support programs to Ontario Early Years Child and Family Centres. The stakeholder engagement that's been happening in Q4 has been well received with both the sector support that we've had and also vast participation from residents. So we conducted a survey where we had well over 1,000 responses from residents across Grey Bruce. So we're very pleased with that. And with that program, we await the new funding formula so that we'll finalize and present that final plan in the spring of 2017. So those are the items in particular that we noted changes in Q4. Thanks.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Milt?
Performance indicators, the average length of time clients receive social assistance, that's 29 weeks, months.
You're correct, that's months.
Good, thank you. I can do that. Good morning.
All right. So good morning, everyone, and good morning and Happy New Year. So I'm pleased to present the Q4 results for the museum this morning. The numbers that you see before you in the KPIs were actually taken as of approximately December 12th. So there will be updates to these numbers in the final document. But I'm really pleased with the results that we had moving forward. We've either over-exceeded in some of the KPIs or we've become very close in target, with the exception of the visitation. I guess the additional people who weren't coming to the museum were all up in the grotto, so we'll have to work on that for this year. But basically what we're seeing is we are tracking to the projections. So the membership number, now is at 619. The actuals for our social media have increased to 2015. And we were tracking well for the completion of the Loyalist training for our staff. And unfortunately, we had lost a participant due to a move relocation. But I am happy to say that the other participants were fully engaged in the program and have now completed the certificate and all the training. Moving on to let's just go down here. To the actual, just the updates from a Q4 perspective. Some of them you'll see have not changed in regards to the timing, with the first one of the Chagall exhibit that was completed in September. So we all know that there was a slight overage in the budget due to the U.S. conversion rate. The revised tourism strategy objective that we are still tracking for that, and we will be regrouping within the next week or so with the Library, Museum, and Economic Development to further review recommendations and next steps moving forward. The Museum Library program is moving forward, continues to move forward, and you had reports in September and October, and we're looking forward to completed program strategy coming forward Q4 17. In regards to the accommodation plan update, we're tracking well on all fronts there. The main update for that is that we were on target as well to be totally out of both of our off-site storage locations, and unfortunately weather got the better of us within the last a month or so. So we will regroup for the last storage location, and everything should be moved to the new location in the spring of this year. We are down to a very minimal amount of items that still need to be moved to Walkerton. And I'm really happy to report that we did receive the full funding of the $15,000 to go towards the feasibility study from the Canadian Cultural Spaces Fund, which was announced and given to us in December. The prep on the donor list is kind of tied into the accommodation plan and the feasibility study. We had thought that we would be able to present a first draft in February. I met with the consultants who are working on that project right now, and with all of the other elements, and there's still 2 consultations that still need to take place, which are pretty critical to the outcome of the study. It looks like we will have that report moving forward in March of this year. The development of the in-house exhibitions, as you know, the Rise of Community, that was reported on earlier, so there's no change in terms of the costs of that. We came in under budget in that area. And I am pleased to announce as well, which you will see in the other report later today, that OPG has now confirmed their funding towards the First Nations project. So we have exceeded the amount of budget that we were looking for to complete this project. And we will be starting very shortly within the next week to develop program and project timelines in order to move this exhibition forward for 2018. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions or comments? David?
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Can I ask where in the jail the items are being stored? Because if there happened to be an event, would it still be possible to hold an event in the jail with?
Yes, so there was consideration when we consulted with corporate services in regards to using the jail as a location. Right now, currently, we are in the location of the garage, which is in the outer courtyard area. So that is self-contained, and it wouldn't be accessible for anyone else except for us. We do hold one small area inside the jail as well, but again, it's a self-contained area, and it would not be accessible to anybody else. So there's still lots of room to do, I believe it's the Spooky Bruce coming up. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay.
Sunday. Is it this Sunday
Sunday for?
for the launch of the new exhibit?
The art show is Saturday, but I'll speak to that in the community. Yeah. Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to report on Q4 for the library. These numbers that you see before you are mostly projected numbers. We're getting all of our actuals this week. Most of our KPIs are coming in above projected amounts, and we're very happy about that. 2 that are a bit lower than projected are active library memberships. This is something that we will be putting forth a concerted effort on for 2017. Some numbers of note is our circulation of physical items, which has increased, and we're very happy about that. And our circulation of online resources, our ebooks and our e-magazines, has also grown quite considerably. Staff training hours in current technologies is below what is projected. That was intentional for this year. As the year went on, our staff training always impacts our salaries budget, so there was an effort to make sure that we were staying within budget for this year. There will be a concerted effort next year to increase the training in current technologies. For our major initiatives, our program and services adjustment to reflect changing consumer practices. We spent approximately 2,144 hours of staff time planning and delivering programs. As of Q4, as mentioned, approximately 234 hours of staff time have been spent training in current technologies, and the budget cost was approximately $69,500 for those activities. In Q3, as Kathy reported, for the Museum Library Management Structure program, we presented in 2016, and we have program strategy that will be completed Q1 2017, and that project has been completed on budget. And for library accreditation, as of Q4, an audit has been booked for March 28th, 2017 to complete the process, and that will be completed on budget as well.
Thank you, Melissa. Comments, questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Just before I begin the actual,
Put it there.
Put it there, okay. Just before I begin the actual KPIs and a rundown of the programs, very successful 12 months for our department in that we sort of completed the turnaround of the ship, so to speak, and that the department's been totally restructured. And I think as of this week, it's the first time we've had a body in each of the new positions that were designed to respond to the strategic plan in operational review, so we're very happy with regard to that. We also have been reviewing continually our existing processes. We've done a lot of work in terms of the economic development strategy, which you're aware of. We're starting to get our feet wet with regard to the corporate policy program, and also undertaking a review also of the GIS function within the department in terms of how that can better serve the broader corporation. So it's been a year of leaving no stone unturned, so to speak. In the midst of all this, you'll see from the KPIs that it turned out to be a fairly busy year on the land use planning side. Number of applications exceeded our expectations and exceeded revenues. You're going to see some of our work coming out of, when you look at the impact report coming out through the corporate corporate services division, and some of those numbers in terms of new multi-use residential units being added. And of course, our planners have been very busy in and around our downtowns and the edges of the downtowns, because there has been some good growth in the multi-residential categories, and you'll see that coming up through some of the assessment numbers over the last couple of years. So we're fairly proud of that work, a lot of complex work being undertaken. At the same time, we've been able to, as you'll see from the KPIs, be able to retain some time set aside for doing major policy updates. And you'll see that's in the fourth or fifth column down. And this is doing work for local municipalities in terms of plan updates, zoning bylaw updates, and so on, to try to get some of these documents ready so that they're more reflective of the needs of the community and more friendly towards development and more streamlined. And so those are some of the things we're working on there. Continue to undertake consultation with municipal staff, undertake business inquiries and consultation, and those are increasing as we have more and more staff on. And of course, with the implementation of the Business Enterprise Center, those numbers continue to increase as well. So in terms of forestry revenue, I'll take you down to there, showing a shortfall, but in fact, by end of year, we sort of hit it right on the button at about $85,000 revenue. And in the trail program, we continue to build and maintain trails as planned and in accordance with the KPIs. In terms of the summary of the major initiatives, the first one being, just one sec here. This is the idea of the development of the Bruce Lens, which provincial policy can be interpreted. So currently, the Bruce Lens has been applied to the actual economic development strategy. We've been able to develop a made in Bruce County solution to that. We're currently in discussions through the hub model to integrate further the planning division with the goals and objectives of the economic development strategy, and again pursuing through the hub model this one-stop shopping approach and no wrong door approach, and we've had some success in moving towards that. In terms of the actual strategy, that has been completed for 2016. In terms of the Bruce brand work, you've seen that has been completed in terms of the task that was assigned to the interdepartmental working group. I think fairly well received, as you can see from some of the work that's being undertaken in the building. So I think we should be quite proud of that as a corporation. And of course, this morning you've seen some recommendations from the interdepartmental group in terms of implementing that over the next 3 years. Number 4, the the municipal addressing policy manual. This is the 911 manual, and that's been completed and updated as planned for 2016. Number 5, we committed to restructuring the function of the planning department around the hub model. The last position was filled with a technician position in the Port Elgin office. And of course, we're working with our colleagues in economic development who are now located in the same building, again, and around this one service model for the Lakeshore area, and having some success with that. Number 6, look for options to improve efficiencies and effectiveness of services. And this is something that's ongoing. One of the projects that we planned on undertaking in 2016 was a look at the development permit system and potentially piloting that in two municipalities. Given the volume of applications that we've had in our commitment to the local projects, we would like to have this as an ongoing item and carry it on to 2017 is something we should be looking at. Some of the major local projects we're working on is the South Bruce Peninsula Official Plan Review and actually also the Walkerton Official Plan Review. And for both of those projects, our staff have undertaken the comprehensive review, which provides the background information on which decisions can be made from a policy perspective at the local level. Secondly, we've completed the issues reports for council. With the Walkerton plan, public notices have gone out and it'll be heading towards council approval. With regard to Wiarton, we would like to defer bringing that to council in 2017. As you know, some of our staff time was diverted in South Bruce Peninsula regarding work done for an adult lifestyle community, which was quite a community issue in Wiarton, but hope to get that completed in 2017. Next is we talked about the hazard mapping pilot project with Northern Bruce Peninsula, and the purpose of this is to come up with agreed upon criteria for what is hazard, so some agreement between the county and the local municipality so there's no confusion, and additionally a common mapping standard. The consultants have been hired. They're out undertaking the work. We understand that they're on schedule, and we hope to come back to council also as part of their overall comprehensive zoning bylaw review in 2017 as well. Economic development, one of our major goals was to complete the business development function. This is I refer to still as Business to Bruce. That's been completed, staff is in place, work plans have been developed, and they're moving forward for 2017. We've transitioned the Enterprise Center on time, on budget, and it's been integrated with land use planning staff again within the Port Elgin hub. The final activity was the Forestry Stewardship Program. I just received the final invoices for 2016, and we're heading towards certification for 2017. Hopefully we can get our sticker or stamp in 2017 to be certified, but all of the work planned for 2016 has been completed on time and on budget.
Thank you, Chris. Questions, comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. We wish to report on the Bruce County Highways Department activities in the fourth quarter. Our 2016 KPIs, our projected values, have not changed, yet we can report on what we suspect will happen for the end of 2016. With respect to roads, rated good to very good, we have received the PCIs, we've done the analysis. I suspect the number is going to be about 66%. Roads will be rated as good to very good, a substantial improvement over 2015, primarily because we did 25 kilometers on Road 33 north of Bruce Power. We did 20K on Road 40 and 6K on Road 6 East. So naturally, that number improves. So while we did lots of work for roads, on lots of different roads in 2016, we only mainly did one bridge under our bridge and culvert portfolio. Consequently, I suspect that our BCIs, which we now have, we do the BCIs every 2 years, so we've got the components for 2016. I suspect we'll see a bit of a slough in our percentage for bridges and culverts because we put so much effort and value on one bridge. We are unable to do any other work on the other 120. Consequently, I would assume that we've done well on one bridge as it goes to 100%, and we'll see some deterioration on the others, so I suspect that number will be slightly lower. When it comes to costs to maintain paved roads, this in 2016, I'm comfortable that value will be higher than our anticipated $750 per lane kilometer. For winter maintenance, I'm guessing that it's going to come in about $2,100 per lane kilometer winter maintenance. Years remaining in landfill site, we know the reports from 2015 were 33 years remaining in our landfill site capacity. Consequently, I think for 16, we'll get the final report in the fall of 17. I imagine that number is going to be in around the 32, 33. We're expecting some increases in 2017 as there's a major improvement in the north and more capacity in the north. But I don't think that happened in 2016. I think that may happen in 2017. So we'll see that in the 2017 numbers. When it comes to collected MHSW, we know that that volume was 124 tons. Moving towards initiatives. Our first initiative was to examine, promote affordable, accessible public transportation. Due to competing resource demands, it was felt that we would defer this item into the future and that we would consider this item closed. Number 2, highways organization. That really pens item 7, which is a review of whether we continue doing work in-house versus contracting construction. A bunch of competing interests that may suggest we move in one direction other than the other. So item 2 and 7 are somewhat related. Item 3, reviewing trails and forestry programs. We've deferred that into 2017. When looking at item 4, potentially other services, local services and county involvement concerning water, wastewater, and stormwater, it was felt that these services are now generally completely within the municipal boundaries. So it would be difficult to consider county involvement. So it's decided that we close this item. Number 5 and number 6, which is our long-range programs, I hope to present those in the first quarter of 17. Items number 7 we spoke of. Item number 8, the EA on the West Road. We have been actively working on our relationships with our First Nations colleagues in 2016 and hope to do more in 17 and hope to see us move ahead with the EA on West Road in the summer of 2017. Number 9, consolidation of bridges. We've deferred that into 2017. When it comes to projects, I won't repeat the ones we've conquered in Q1, 2, and 3. Our successes in Q4 was the completion of our sand salt shed in Paisley and the placement of the material in the shed for our work this winter. And our work on County Road 40, we paved the east portion from County Road 3 to the east in the fall of 2016. And finally is the preparatory work for McCurdy Bridge. More on that yet today before committee, but yes, I think we're on the pinnacle of tendering within the next 2 months on the McCurdy Bridge. And that's our report.
Thank you, Brian. Questions, comments? Just back to item 1 for the SMART. So you're saying that issue is off the table now?
I'm hoping for some assistance.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Mr. Warden, the 2 CAOs for both counties met with the board at their office in Solway, and the suggestion at this time is that neither county would pursue going any further for 2 reasons. One, that Grey County is just finishing their transportation pilot and they could not give an assessment at that point. And number 2 was the recommendation that had come before both counties and came before committee was that the organization would replicate effectively a funding model similar to the conservation authorities, and there was apprehension with that model, so that basically the county would provide a financial contribution once per year to the organization, but it would be an arm's length independent organization.
Any other comments? Thank you, sir. If you want to make that a little bit bigger, then I can read that. Perfect. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Milt.
A question, and it's to Mary Ann. And Mary Ann, it's on page 52. And I asked a question a while ago with regards to head count. It looks the same. What I'm trying to figure out is why it has changed so much since 14 actual, 15 actual. And all through 16, I don't see any change hardly. So, I mean, it's got an actual of 723 and 14 and 713 and 15. And then we project 776, and you were mentioning that with summer jobs that affect this, but that should be straightened out now at year end, right?
Through you, Warden. Yes, the summer jobs have now left that head count, but now we have the highway seasonal group in there. So the way that we capture head count, we've been looking at to make sure that we're also capturing our vacancies, which currently, previously we had not been capturing vacancies. And we have quite a bit of turnover. As you can see, we're over 18% at the county, and most of that turnover is attributed to long-term care. And so we are now tracking that head count to make sure that we're, just because the person's left, that we're not accounting for it. So I think what might help is if I bring a report back to the HR committee to go through the historical like we did and provide an update, and also show you the tool that we now use to capture the head count.
Because if I just look at numbers, it looks bad. Yes. All right, thank you.
Okay, we have to go in close now for the purpose of discussing the Watson peer review pursuant to Section 2E of the Municipal Act related to litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and Section 3.1 of the Municipal Act for the purpose of educating or training the members. Do I have a mover and seconder to go into closed? Ann, seconded by Robert. All those in favor? That is carried. We are now in closed.
Just before everybody runs out of the room, I did want to recognize and acknowledge all of the great work of the senior management team to get done everything that they got done in 2016. It was a great year, and it was a year of a lot of work. So kudos to everybody.
Good. Thank you.